Yay.
Okay, Sean, it's your turn to hit it.
I thought you never asked, Sandra. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Google Plus for you and me.
Okay, that was faster. That was better. And hi.
Getting there.
The ABCs of Google Plus. We're going to rock the blocks today. And look, they're in order. I can't believe it. Hi, I'm Sandra Watson, and I'm with the ABCs of Google Plus. That's Sandra Watson and me. And we have a guest today. Well, I'm going to introduce him in a minute. And I do have my co-host, Sean Mahon, from across the waters in England. And I'm going to have him introduce himself in a minute. But for the time being, we're glad you came. We want you to be sure and put comments in below, and questions, of course. Please put your questions, and we will try to answer anything. I see that Tanya's here, and she's got her special character. She's all locked up and loaded.
Hi, Tanya.
Emily, I believe I pronounced that right. So we're glad to see both of you so far, and I'm sure there's others that haven't checked in yet. But in the meantime, we're going to be talking about SEO today. Is it really gone? The title was Goodbye SEO, Really? And I kind of forgot to put in the question mark, but that's really what was supposed to be there. So before we get started, Sean, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? And before I say anything, you know what, guys? We were delighted to have Sean be able to sing, but he also is a magician. He can disappear. And today he's going to do a disappearing act frequently, and I'm going to let him explain why.
I tell you guys, look, it's all mind over matter, but my usual dulcet tones, I'm struggling with a bit of a cold. I haven't got Ebola, thankfully. I've not got Ebola or some dreadful virus, but I'm a man, and I guess if I was a woman, I'd just get on with it. But being a man, I've got man flu. So if I disappear from time to time, that'll be the reason why. But anyway, just as Sandra demonstrated very well there. Thank you, Sandra. But delighted to be here. Thank you for asking me, Sandra, and delighted to also be able to hang out with Ryan. I don't think I've met Emily before. If I have, Emily, my apologies. Tanya, great to see you. As Sandra rightly says, over in the UK, and I'm getting that look from Sandra that says, shut up, Sean, you've had your 20-minute introduction, so get on with it.
Oh, no, go ahead, introduce yourself.
Oh, I can say more. Okay, well, Sean Mahon. I live in the UK. I live just outside London, and my role at the moment is marketing coach, so I work with small businesses. Unlike Ryan, I'm not specific to internet marketing. It's more general marketing coaching. So I'm really eager to hear what Ryan has to say. I'm sure I'll learn an awful lot. So welcome, everybody.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
That was good. That was short and sweet. You did a good job.
For me.
Okay, I'm going to be delighted right now to introduce Ryan. I hope I say this right, Ryan. In fact, you know what? I'm going to let you say your last name because I bet you I will say it wrong. Well, maybe not. Eisenbart, is that right?
Eisenbart, that's correct.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Ryan Eisenbart. Ryan is a webmaster, and he's also a marketing strategist. He also is a web designer, SEO. My gosh, he does all kinds of things. So I'm going to let him explain it because there's no one better to explain yourself than yourself. So go ahead. This is your punch time, Ryan. Give it to us.
All right, thanks, Sandra. I just want to say thanks, one, for having me on here today. My name is Ryan Eisenbart, and like Sandra said, I am a webmaster, which is kind of a fancy way of saying that I do web stuff. And all kinds of web stuff. So I do search engine optimization and social media marketing and email marketing and website design, and we do some development and all these. If it's web related, chances are that we do it. And I am honored to be here today. I love what I do, and I'm excited to share my information with you.
Great. Well, I'm going to add two other things. You're an implementation and a coordinator of social media I had that written down. I want to put that in for you. And also, ad marketing consultant. That's a biggie because a lot of people don't know about how to help people with their ad campaigns and so forth. So I want to add that for you. Okay, let's get on with the show and what we're going to talk about. Sean and I have a lot of questions. We've been going over some of this in the green room before the show and quizzing Ryan about some things and finding a general direction. One of the things that we want to accomplish today is that a lot of people have a hard time understanding SEO and what it's about. And do we really need it? Is that term even relevant today? Because we hear content marketing all the time, more so than we hear SEO. So let's start off, Ryan, and have you explain how you see SEO versus content marketing. Are they different? Are they one and the same? Or does it really matter?
Okay. Yeah, it definitely matters, and I wouldn't say that they're one and the same, but today they work together. Okay, so obviously search engine optimization is definitely relevant today. It's as relevant today as it was 10 years ago. It's changed the way it's just changed in how we implement it basically, and that's where the content marketing piece of it comes into play. So I want you to think of SEO and keyword research and things like that as we want to find the keywords that people are actually looking for and searching on inside of the search engines, and then we want to take those keywords and think of those as topical pieces of information that we use in our content marketing. So we're taking those keywords and we're putting it into our content marketing, and we're distributing that content out all over the web. So that's kind of how these two things tie together. So they are different pieces, but they absolutely have to work together.
We're absolutely so astounded there. You can see that Sandra and I were just nodding very seriously. But I mean, just out of interest, to throw that in reverse, Ryan, have you ever seen situations, and I know you will have done, where they haven't worked together? And if you have, what's the outcome of that when it all clashes?
I guess yeah. I think when content marketing and SEO doesn't work together, it actually one or the other fails. Okay, you either don't have the right information, the right keywords, the right topics inside of your content, and so you're putting out content that people just aren't searching for and they're not interested in. I think that is where you're going to find a big marketing fail in terms of search engine optimization as it relates to content marketing. So
not a good outcome, really. People are neither interested nor engaged.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You've got to be creating content, one that people are searching for, and two, and probably more relevant, content that people are interested in. So you're looking for and interested in. Keep it simple.
I want to bring up something that Tanya Lemire just posted, something that I think is really cute. I think on your lower third, Ryan, you need to change it because she has said, and I'm going to pin it up here for you to see, another official statement from Ryan Eisenbart. I do web stuff.
Yes,
it's true.
I think that should be that's a good tagline.
I started using that because I'd always tell people, well, I'm a webmaster, and I always get this look at me like, well, what is that? And I'm like, I do web stuff. I do a lot of different web stuff. So thank you. That's funny.
Well, just got a couple of.
No. Oh, go ahead, Sean. You probably noticed it too. No, you go ahead.
I missed you so much. Oh my gosh. You know what? I haven't seen Sandra, everybody, for a couple of weeks, and I've been pining. So I'm so enthusiastic. But just a quick shout out. Cheryl's just checked in. Yay, Cheryl. Hey, and Tim as well. Good to see you, Tim. Tim Longwell. So good to see you as well. So that was my shout out. I shall now sit very silently and not say anything else for the duration.
we know that is not going to happen, and it's a good thing because you bring valuable content to this marketing mix.
Thank you.
Ryan, I think that one of the things that we talked about earlier that I see as a key to this, because I talk about the ABCs of Google Plus and YouTube, etc. how do you see Google Plus adding value to the search ranking? I started to say racking. To the ranking, the SEO of what we're doing here in social media or on the web. Let's just forget the word social media and just use it as a web term, because that really is what it is. Is Google Plus essential to anybody? Let's say it's a new business, you're talking to them. What would you tell them about Google Plus? Because a lot of people have a hard time thinking that they should be here.
Right, absolutely. You know, and Google Plus is actually, I would say that it's important, and on different levels for different people. One, Google Plus is actually a part of the search engine algorithm, so it is a factor that Google takes into consideration when ranking web pages. I think on the other side of that, and maybe more importantly for local-based businesses, is the ability to create places with our Google Places pages, which is all kind of infused into Google Plus now, which links to maps and things like that. So I think that that piece of it is extremely important as it relates to Google Plus and search and SEO.
Okay, now I have to bring up William Rock has made it in. That's cool. Hi, William.
Nice to see you, William.
William understands analytics and SEO really well, so he'll be able to add a few comments here, I'm sure, Ryan, that you're probably going to be pretty excited about at times.
Fantastic.
Okay, you and I talked a while back too, Ryan, about the importance of analytics, and you said if nothing else, a business probably needs somebody to be able to analyze all of the analytics that they have coming in from their website and their social engagement and so forth, that's probably one of the biggest things. So let's have you talk about that a little bit.
Okay. The reason I say it's one of the biggest things is I think it's one of the biggest things that businesses miss the most. You know, I talk to businesses every day, and they either don't have analytics on their website, or they've got them and they never look at them. And analytics are extremely important. And to take a look at it from an SEO perspective is we want to know what keywords people are actually typing in and where you're showing at in the rankings for those keywords. But what that does is it lets us know that the keywords that we're looking for, or excuse me, that we're optimizing for, are actually the right ones are optimizing for. But it's also going to give us other ideas for keywords that we may have not thought of for different topics, and will actually give us more information about different topics that we can write about that we maybe didn't think about before. So obviously, the analytics are, you know, a big key piece of this, because we need to know that what we're doing is actually working. And if it's not working, we need to make adjustments to it. And if it is working, are there other adjustments that we can be making to it to increase it and make it better?
Yeah, there's. Sorry, Sandra, you're about to say something. I've just interrupted you, haven't I?
I can remember it.
Okay, I was kind of thinking there's two elements here. One, William has just put a really interesting comment which segues into that really nicely, but from what I'm hearing and what we all know, you can't measure obviously a campaign unless you've got sufficient analytics, and it may well be that surprises come through from the results that you interpret that can allow you to tweak the campaign really well. So that's the first thought that comes to mind. But I just wanted to show this comment from William, if I can just pull it up. So we can all read it, but William said, ranking is not all that it's wrapped up to be. Google Plus is online one spectrum of the entire semantic web. So again, what we're seeing is that you've got to look at what's happening, make a judgment, but you know, there are many different elements that we've got to consider sometime. So what do you think of that, Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's the ranking piece of it is obviously important, because you know we obviously want to rank as high as we can for particular search phrases and things like that. But the web is with the big updates that Google did over the last couple of years, the web has gone from a keyword-based SEO marketplace, I guess, to a more intent-based marketplace. So what we're seeing now is the way people are searching is changing, and Google understands that it's changing. And so, for example, when you search on a particular topic, you're probably going to actually get served up a little bit different information than I would get served up, based on, one, the websites that you visit, two, the networks and things that you're in, websites that you've visited before, and your location, things like that. All of these things play into factors. So rank has changed a lot in terms of, okay, we're ranking for this specific keyword. Obviously, we want to rank well for that keyword, but the way you show up is going to be a lot different now than it was back in the day, based on the way the search engine algorithms look at what you're searching for in terms of the intent of what you're looking for. Does that make sense? That was kind of a lot.
Yeah, I guess the reason. Sorry, I think for me your sound went a little bit at the end, but I find that a fascinating concept, the intent. So we've probably all got slightly different interpretations in the audience about that. So my interpretation of that is I may put in some vague search terms as somebody searching on the net, because I'm not entirely sure what I'm looking for. But you might put in something far more specific. So is that what you mean by intent, or am I missing something here?
You know, it could be that, absolutely. But when you take into consideration, like when Google understands where your geographic location, when you look for a pizza place, is going to be a lot different from where what's going to be served when I'm looking for a pizza place, because of our different locations. And literally, if I go one town over, my search results are going to be different, because Google understands,
Sure.
if I allow them, it's going to understand where I'm at. So it's going to serve up different information based on where I'm at. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I think that's a great answer, and that kind of leads into what we were talking about earlier, Ryan, and that is the ranking issue. You know, when somebody decides that maybe they need someone like you in their business to tell them, you know, what they need to do. We talked about what should you look for, and one of the things that Sean brought up, well, we want somebody that's going to get us ranked on the first page of Google search as soon as possible. And maybe that won't be possible because of the way that the search is being initiated now, because maybe there's no one in that area but maybe two people. So I wouldn't show up in England for Sean if I were a pizza place, because even though I might rank top, I mean, what good's that going to do him? So it definitely depends on the area you're in and what's going on. But I like, that being said, I've gotten a little bit off course maybe on that. I like what you said about being ranked on the first page. The expectation of that. If I hired you and I said, okay, Ryan, I want to be showing up on the first page of Google search when somebody searches for my type of business. You gave a very good analogy of how that should be, and I'm going to ask you to do that for the audience now, because we do have a lot of small business people or people that are just starting a business and wanting to get out there and have people find them.
Right, absolutely. Okay, so there's a lot of factors that you have to take into consideration. One is obviously where you're located. Two is the amount of competition and things like that that you're looking at for the particular topic that you're going after. But to put it in perspective for you, if you're just starting out with SEO and you're a small business, you should expect between 6 to 12 months to get to the first page. Not position 1 necessarily, but for the first page of Google, and that is with a consistent SEO marketing campaign. If anybody comes and tells you that they can put you there in a month, I would be amazed if that happened. It would have to be some very obscure marketplace with very, very little competition. Can it be done? You know, probably, but like I said, it would be a low competition in a very obscure marketplace that you were going after. But honestly, 6 to 12 months generally for an SEO campaign that's ongoing to get you to page 1 ranking.
Can I throw in something there which quite fascinates me? So imagine then that I'm a business owner in a very competitive niche. Mm-hmm. Even regardless of the fact that I may have 150 competitors in the local area, you could still, over a 12-month time, all other things being equal, get me to number 1, or at least within the top 5. So that's one part of the question. The other part is, I liked what you said earlier, where what you do, Ryan, if I understand you correctly, is you keep the business owner informed every step of the way. So you'll be feeding back to them what's happening every step of the way. So there's two different chunks. I'm in a competitive niche. You can still get me quite high up the rankings. And also the ethics of doing that in your business, so that what I like that you said was that you keep people informed. Because I've seen examples of SEO gurus that have just left the business cold, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay, so to answer the first part of that question, it's definitely possible. Obviously, there are no guarantees that that's going to happen, but the beautiful thing about doing SEO is the ability to track the progress of the rank. So, and not only tracking the progress of your rankings. So when we do SEO campaigns, you got to take into account a lot of considerations and things like that in terms of, how much effort is your competition putting in, and how many links are you getting, and the quality of those links, and what's the size of your social media network, and are you growing that? What's your content marketing campaign look like, and from a strategy standpoint, what does your website look like? How is it structured? Things like that. So all of these things play a key factor. Is there a guarantee that in a 12-month period we could get you from ranking in the top 100 to number 5? No, there are no guarantees in SEO, but there's a very good possibility that can happen, just based on the fact that we know and we can look at what your competition is doing and react based on what we think is the best course of action for your particular business to get you on that first page of Google. And then what was the second part of the question? I totally got sidetracked.
Yeah, you know what? You should never ask two questions in one. That's
especially to me.
Well, actually, before I give you that one, William's just put something up which I think is pretty cool, because it fits in exactly with what you just said, which is this, strangely. Become equal to your competitor and do one better. So I think there's two elements. As a business owner, you would want to do that, and as somebody advising me on SEO, with your tracking and analytical capability, you would show me tools to be able to make me optimize things even better. So thanks, William. I think that's really cool, and so cool that I've forgotten how to take the comment off. But I was just enthralled with that one.
Well, I think we ought to put up William's next one, which I think is brilliant.
I like it.
SEO is only one thing. What can you do to engage with your customers?
Absolutely.
So he wants us to go on to something else there, I think. And you know what, William, we totally agree with that, because we were talking about it earlier, because it is all about engagement. And, Tanya, you talk about engagement. Let's just talk about this. FYI, I'd like mushrooms, olives, onions, and garlic with extra red sauce. Now, I'm sure that that's going to bring a lot of engagement, because a lot of people are going to come in and say, I can't stand olives. Whether are they black, are they green? Red sauce, no, I want white. This is the kind of thing that we're talking about. What is it that's going to cause the engagement, and what is good engagement that will get us better SEO value, I guess? Okay, Ryan.
Is that a question?
Yeah.
I think so.
I don't know. My stomach's growling now.
Yeah, mine too.
Once again, that really depends on the marketplace, but and every marketplace is going to be different in terms of the type of content that you're going to be putting out there and what people like to engage in. I will say this, that you ought to test all kinds of different content, and honestly, you ought to be putting all kinds of different content out there. And when I say all kinds of different content, I mean utilize audio and utilize video and press releases and blogs and social media posts and things like that. Sean and we were talking earlier in the green room, and he talked about he's creating these videos and putting them out there. And what I suggested to him was, okay, we've created this great piece of content as a video. Why not take that video and transcribe it, put it into a blog post, and then take snippets from that blog post and put it out onto social media as well, because you've created this really great piece of content in one spot. Well, you could actually be utilizing it and distributing it out to all different areas, and then with analytics you can actually track to see which one's getting more traction. And you're building your network and your overall authority on the web doing it that way.
Yeah, and that kind of addresses William's point partly, doesn't it, about engagement. So you're repurposing content And I know you had some thoughts on how that can free up a business owner's time, but also the beauty is by analysing it and noticing what's working, what's not working. I know that's obvious to everybody, but the question is, it might be obvious, but are we doing it? That's the million-dollar question. Then if that bit works, great, carry on with that bit. If that doesn't, leave it. And yeah, we all know that, but how often do we churn out stuff and we've no idea whether it's contributing to our campaigns or not? You've got a view on that, Ryan, haven't you, I think?
Right, absolutely. Like I said, that's really where the analytical pieces of these things kind of fall into place. And I think what you're trying to touch on is how often should I be creating content? Is that correct?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Okay, all right. So, and really that depends on the marketplace too. But Sandra asked the question earlier, if I'm a small business owner and I obviously have a limited amount of time, how much content should I be creating? And I guess my answer to that would be as much as you can, but keeping in mind that if you're going to be creating a piece of content, make sure that it's a very, very good piece of engaging content that people are going to respond to and that people are going to want to read and things like that. And if you can only do one a week, just do one a week. Obviously if you can do 2 a week, do 2 a week, but do at least one a week, and put it out there. Add images to it. If you can add video or anything like that that's more engaging, or whatever you can do. That's what I would say from a small business perspective. At least one a week.
William just brought up a good question to what you had just said, and I think it's one that we need to address, Ryan. His question mark, distribution is good, but is that also considered duplicate content? When you're taking a video and you're transcribing it and putting it out and you're putting the same things over, shouldn't they be repurposed so that it's not exactly duplicate?
Yeah, so I mean, Google can understand a video to a certain extent, and from a video standpoint, you can create video sitemaps and things like that, and use rich snippets, which is kind of a coding technique to tell Google a little bit more about that video. But from just a transcription point, I don't think you're going to run into any issues with duplicate content if you're going to take that and post it on a blog per se. And then when I say distributing it out, with the social media posts and things like that, you don't necessarily have to take the specific content directly from the post, but you ought to be able to come up with 10 social media posts that are relevant to that content, and some that are factual, some that ask questions and things like that, and be able to put it out on your social media channels that would link back to your blog posts. And you shouldn't run into any duplicate content issues with doing something like that either.
Yeah, I mean, where I've seen that very thing happen, what people might do is they've got, let's say, a video that's come out. So rather than just transcribe and put a clear transcription of the video elsewhere, what they'll do is they'll say, I made this video last week. The 3 core things in the video were X, Y, and Z, and this is why I felt they were the 3 core things. So what they've done is they've not verbatim taken the content of the audio, they've entirely repackaged the content of the audio, but they've still of the audio of that video, if I'm not getting too convoluted. So it's consistent. They've got 5 or 6 different items that have inspired that creation of content, but it's not replication, which I think is what William was alluding to. So I guess nobody wants to see exactly the same thing on 20 different sites, if you like.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I wouldn't take it and distribute it on 20 different sites. There's really no point in doing that. That might have worked way back in the day or whatever. But if you wanted to get real creative, you could actually take, so you created this, the 3 topics or whatever. You splice that video up into 3 different segments, and you've got 3 different topics now for 3 individual pieces of content that you can use. So,
yeah, definitely.
Tanya, hashtag quality over quantity gave it a 5 stars, and I agree totally with that, and I'm sure each one of you here, Sean and Ryan, would agree with that. This whole thing of trying to get out just quantity of posts or videos, whatever, just so that you can say I have 10 million of them or whatever, doesn't mean too much. And there's a point where you can get oversaturated, I think, and that would be my opinion. There are times when I see things coming from the same, a person just posting and posting throughout the day, and it's like, gee, do you get it? I don't want to read all these things. I like you, but that's a little bit much. And I understand they're trying to reach different people other than me, but if I'm in their core market, what do you do with that, Ryan? What do you say?
Yeah, it goes back to the hashtag quality over quantity. You can, there's social media in terms of engagement, and obviously in some points SEO. It's all about engagement. It's not about just posting a whole bunch of stuff out there just so that you stay in front of people. I mean, you can do that, and I know that large companies do that but they're in a completely different marketing space than the small business owner. Okay, so if I'm a small business owner and I'm gonna spend any time doing social media and posting, I'm gonna be out there posting really relevant stuff to a really relevant audience that's engaging, and that's building more about building a relationship than just posting some obscure passage or something like that.
Indeed.
Wow. Let's change the subject a little bit here just for a moment and go to websites, Ryan, because you do websites also. And you made a statement earlier that I found very interesting, that you said that the website is really very, very important and maybe being overlooked at the expense of too much time on social media. Let's explore that a little bit, and you go into how you feel about it.
Okay. Yeah, so I want you to keep in mind that your website ought to be your base point for your online marketing campaign, because that is where conversion is going to take place, whether that be a sale or a lead or generation tactic or something like that. Okay, so that ought to be the base point of your internet marketing campaign. And then the social media aspect of it is really more geared towards, this is where you're going to start to build relationships and things like that that are going to lead people from to build relationships, to gain trust, and it's that trust that's going to get people back to your website to start reading more and more of your content, learning more and more about you, and entering into that sales funnel. So that's why I believe the website should be the centerpiece and the focal point of your online marketing, because, like I said, that's where conversion is going to take place.
I think. Are we spending enough time on our websites? Are we giving it the importance that it needs to have, Ryan? I mean, you're a web person. You're also an SEO. What is your feeling on that?
Well, my clients are spending a lot of time on their websites, but
why is that? Why?
Okay, so the reason why I've got them spending so much, and that's not necessarily spending so much time on their website, but we put a lot of emphasis into a website, like I said, because that is where the conversion is taking place. And there's no reason in spending all this time on social media and doing email marketing and doing social media marketing and all these things if at the end of the day we're not making any type of conversions. Okay, there's really no point into it unless you just have a ton of free time and you like to do it, which is fine. And now keep in mind, I'm speaking from a business owner aspect. I know that a lot of people use social media for other things, but from a business standpoint, we're there to generate leads, generate conversions online. Like I said, whether that's a lead that would lead to an offline sale or a e-commerce platform where we're making an online sale right online. So that's why we put so much emphasis on a website, not only from a usability standpoint, but from an SEO standpoint as well.
Can I? Sorry, I'm just going to cough. Okay,
there we go.
That was a hell of a cough. Yeah, I mean, one thing I find fascinating is I also see a lot of people who've kind of gotten the message about the website, but what they've done is they've produced websites so that are literally brochures online. So there's no real call to action. There's no opt-in, and they look fantastic. They're beautiful. They may well have cost them thousands of dollars, but hey, what do they do? You know. So I guess you must go into clients all the time who proudly show you their website, and you must clutch your head in horror and go, "My God, what the hell have you done?" and put them right. So what's your view on that, Ryan? Because I guess you've seen some disasters, I would imagine.
Well, I try not to make it that obvious, but I do try and point out the fact that, you know, it's yeah, there's no point in having a website that's just brochureware. You know, a website should be there to make some kind of conversion or do some kind of lead generation. There's no point in having a website that just says, "Hey, look at me, I'm pretty, and this is what I do." I've seriously gone and looked at websites without contact pages, with no phone number. There's no way to get a hold of them. And so these are the things that we like to point out to people, because yeah, your website ought to be a lead generation or machine, because if not, then for me and for my clients anyway, there's no point in having one.
What would you recommend to someone today that would be the first thing that they could do to look at their website? If you went in and looked at it, what would be one of the very first things that they could do to help their website after the show?
From an SEO perspective?
I guess that, yeah, and for conversion. Let's make it 2 answers.
Okay. All right. So from an SEO perspective, well, there's lots of things that you really need to look at, but I guess number one is your site in a structure in an easy way, or built in a way that's easy to navigate from a user perspective? Because if it's easy to navigate from a user perspective, then it ought to be easy enough for the search engines to crawl to understand what it's about. And then from the other piece from a conversion aspect of it, you need to have some kind of calls to action on your website, whether that be on the blog or on the home page or on a landing page that you're driving people to. You know, those would be the 2 big things that I would say that you need to do. Yeah.
Can I just throw something out? Sorry, Sandra, but if anyone's got any specific aspects of their business that they would like to share, so for example, I don't want to point fingers anywhere, but Emily, for example, is agreeing about got to have conversions. Emily, I don't know if you want to share what your business is. Sandra, you may know Emily, so you might know the answer to that. But while, you know, if people want to share, and maybe we could almost do some case studies here in terms of advice. But the other thing is more generally, what do you think about opt-ins on a site, Ryan? Do you think they're a good thing to do or a bad thing? And these funnels that start with a free gift, does that tend to work for your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's honestly a better way to generate leads than to offer some kind of free training or a free ebook or PDF download or something like that. You know, and really that's a great way to start a campaign. You know, you've got this great piece of content that you're giving away for free. All they have to do is enter in their information. Well, just design your content marketing piece around this piece of content that you're giving away, and make sure that you're using relevant keywords that people are actually searching for inside of that content marketing. So really, you've just right now in less than 2 minutes, we've built a campaign.
Yeah.
You know, for lead generation.
And we've got the quality element as well. From
exactly. Yeah.
If it's a good giveaway, because I think people are getting a bit jaded with some public label or private label rights item that's just been, you know, copied and pasted into the site. So it needs to be a good quality item, not necessarily expensive, but just decent.
That's the one thing I will say is if you're going to produce or create content, no matter what it is, whether it's video or it's a blog post or a PDF download or whatever the case might be, make it awesome, and I mean awesome. If you're creating this piece of content and you read through it and you're like, this is okay, start over, do it again. You need to be very, very impressed with this content. It needs to be something that when you downloaded it, you'd been like, oh man, this is awesome. This thing rocks. Okay, that's when you know you've got a great piece of content.
Brilliant, excellent, thank you.
Wow. So how many people do you have you test your content before you give it away free to make sure it's pretty darn awesome? Because we think everything we do is awesome.
Well, I think that comes from a personal standpoint too. Like you have to hold yourself to a high standard of quality. And you've I'm sure that all of us have downloaded something that was just kind of like,
Yeah.
don't and honestly, the chances of you if you ever saw something like that again or something from somebody like that ever again, you'd probably never download another piece of content. You wouldn't even give it a second look. So really, you have to think of this as you have one chance to make a first impression, and you have to do it without being in front of somebody.
Well, and I think, don't you think then, when you think about that, a lot of people say, okay, I'm going to give you this paper, that paper, this little thing. Boy, Paulo, I hope I said your name right, I'm really sorry, but he said websites are like window shops. Prospects should be attracted and immediately realize what they can find in it. Okay, shouldn't that be the same thing with that paper or whatever it is we're giving away? Shouldn't it be lovely to look at, fun to admire or whatever? And that would bring in a graphic designer maybe or somebody to help you put it together so that when they get it, that wow factor is there. Let's just say it's maybe only one sheet, but I want to frame it.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we're graphical or image-based creatures by nature. We like to look at pretty things. So honestly, you're probably going to get more opt-ins if you have something that looks good instead of just having a white sheet of paper with the title of the article on it. Or
yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. Sean, do you want to read this?
Yeah, I'll put it up. William, again, you're on a roll, sir. You're on a roll. So there's another fantastic comment from William here. And again, I'm so excited I can't put it up. Here it goes. Yeah, I think it just reinforces what we're saying. Not just the visual look, but the actual, whatever it is, whether it be a video or a PDF or ebook, whatever the heck it is, the quality's got to be good. And I did hear a marketer that I really respect saying, from his point of view, it's got to be so good that the person who downloads that thing thinks, my God, if this is their free content, heaven forbid, well, what's their paid content going to be like? So it's got to totally rock them to the point that they think, God, you know what? I really want to know what this guy's got on his website that I could pay for, because this is amazing as a freebie. And you kind of touched on that, Ryan, didn't you? I think.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. Because keep in mind, all free downloads or free videos and things like that. They're not sales letters, but they're sales letters. The content of it's supposed to be so amazing that it should sell the service itself. Because obviously, what's on the back end of those, in terms of a email marketing campaign or whatever the case might be, is what's going to put them or drive them through that sales funnel, because they've already raised their hand and said, yes, I'm interested. So Absolutely. When you're giving them this awesome piece of content, you've really already sold them without having to sell them.
Perfect answer. Thank you. Brilliant.
Okay, Sean, I'm going to ask you to read this one.
You
do such a brilliant job of that.
Oh, bless you. Thank you, Sandra. I do love working with you. It's fantastic. But Emily, what a great point you made here. My business is leadership coaching and development. I don't convert sales from my website, only capture leads right now, and I'd love to do more. So I'm kind of getting a sense that Emily's possibly building an email funnel or building some sort of database, but at the moment, in terms of translating that into something, that's not quite happening. So what advice would you give to somebody like Emily there, Ryan?
I think, Emily, you need to figure out what the back-end product is going to be. Is it a membership area? Is it just one-on-one coaching? Those are two aspects that would be relative to your space, and then whatever that product is really going to be really going to translate what the message is on the back end of the leads that you're actually generating and gathering. So,
have you got any clients like that, Ryan? Have you worked with coaches? Perhaps you might have some ideas for someone like Emily.
Yeah, I do have a couple of coaching clients, and they do both. They've got a membership area that we built that they have done evergreen content for, and it's just kind of an ongoing, a one-time thing where They, you sign up for it, you buy the course, you get it, and then we've got clients that do just ongoing coaching with one-on-one if they want to, and then they've got another aspect of their business where you can just, it's a lower tier membership where, he basically does coaching, but at a group level, and then so you can log in your membership area and get the content from that perspective as well. The other thing I would say, Emily, is if you're not doing any speaking events, and this is more of a lead generation thing, but do speaking events.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, get yourself in front of people.
And isn't that a great way of creating content as well, isn't it? Because if I was speaking, I'd probably record that, and then I've got possible downloads. I've got things I can carve up onto YouTube. I've got DVDs, MP3s, MP4s, whatever the heck they are.
Yeah, absolutely. You do a speaking event and you get it, you record it on video, and then you can rip the audio out of that if you want to and create it as a podcast. You've got the individual video segments that you can use inside of a content marketing piece, and then you can actually, so you've got that full video that you can use. Well, why not just take snippets of that video and use it as your marketing pieces or your content marketing pieces that would lead to the opt-in that would give you access to the full video. So that's just it's a great way for a lead generation or sales funnel. So that's how I would do it. And all of this really leads back to SEO because you've created this piece of content that people are interested in. Once you know that what people are searching for, you use this keyword phrases and things like that in your content marketing sequence that drives them to a landing page that leads to an opt-in that puts them into that sales funnel and moves them forward.
Wonderful, brilliant.
Okay. Boy, we've got a lot of work to do after the show.
I hope that wasn't too complicated. I tried to simplify that in the steps.
No, I think you simplified everything so far very well for my simple mind.
Yeah, mine too. And Emily just says awesome, thanks. So I think there's a real appreciation for what you just said there, Ryan. So thank you for that.
Ryan, I'm going to ask you, since we're kind of getting in our short time here, if somebody wanted to hire someone like you, and I mean, they obviously could get in touch with you, and that's something else later, but what would be red flags that they should look for?
In terms of red flags and things like that, I think what you want to do, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, was, use this as like an interview process. Okay, if you're going to be hiring somebody, I would go and learn a little bit about what SEO people should be doing, and that might be something as, even buying a course or getting a book or something like that, and really ask the questions that you should be asking these people who are doing SEO. To make sure that they can, one, answer your questions effectively, two, and then I guess on the other end of that is, as long as they're not brand new, they ought to be able to give you examples or case studies of successes they've had with other clients. I think that's kind of a reverse engineered thing from a red flag, but those are the things that I would do if I was looking for an SEO person.
One of the things that you said earlier when we were talking in the green room was, if they promise to get you on the front page of the Google search within a short time, like 5 days, 10 days, whatever, run to the nearest store, don't walk. Exit quickly, because there are no guarantees of that, and I think that's really important that we have to keep in mind also. So would the person that you get, then the SEO value should be combined with content marketing and also with web design? In other words, would you have 3 different types of people, or would it be advantageous to have someone that can do all of these aspects of it?
It's always, I think it's, for me, and this is kind of a personal thing, but I think it's always advantageous to have one person who kind of knows and understands it all. That way you can make sure that nothing gets missed. Now, a lot of people just do have web designers, and a lot of people have, separate SEO companies that do their things, and these teams tend to work together, and sometimes they butt heads a lot based on, what they're trying to do versus design and making the code that they're writing semantically correct so that the search engines can actually understand and read it efficiently. So I think it's definitely advantageous to have somebody who knows it all, but it's not necessary. It's not a necessity. I've seen it work both ways, and I've seen it work both ways well.
Is there one tip that you could give us that we should never do?
Yeah, never go and buy bulk links.
Good point.
If somebody says that they can get you 10,000 links and they can do it for $20, don't do it.
Are people still doing that?
People still do that. People still do that. Yes, they do.
You see it all the time.
Yeah, and you probably get emails even, and that's another red flag you could watch out for. I mean, I'm an SEO. We do SEO in my company, and I get emails from Gmail addresses all the time, like obscurename@gmail.com. Oh, we can get you to the first page of Google in 60 days or something like that. And I'm just like, really? Like, and it's obviously just use your gut instincts too, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like, if it sounds fishy, if it seems fishy, go with your gut and just move on. Yeah, you'll know. You'll know.
Okay.
Sandra, I don't know what's going on. Sorry, I realise that I'm totally throwing everybody here. My screen's shifting all over the place. My lower third's going. So I think it's the influence of Ryan's SEO. Clearly, it's having an effect on the UK's distribution of content at the moment. But I found that last bit really interesting. So Ryan, to come back to that point, I have seen people on Fiverr, on various outsourcing companies, really bombard the value, at least they're trying to sell the value of backlinks. And obviously, you get what you pay for, don't you? Nobody's going to get any results from a $10 bundle of 200 backlinks.
And the flip side of that is with Google's algorithm changes, it's actually going to hurt you, and it's going to hurt you bad. We've walked into situations where we actually are trying to get links away from websites because bad links were generated, and they will actually hurt your search engine ranking these days. Like, wow. It will negatively impact it. So we're trying to in the process of a couple clients getting rid of really bad backlinks that were created by other people.
Okay, so we are here on Google Plus, and yes, this is one of the things that I love the platform. What would you tell a business that says, I don't have time for another platform, and especially to use one, I don't want to get on Google Plus? Is there any reason that you tell them why they should be on Google Plus?
Yeah, absolutely. And in particular, a local-based business that has a local storefront, because the Google Pages, which was Google Local Business Listings, is now part of Google Plus, and you absolutely need to be on there, because if you're not going to show up in local listings. You're not going to show up on maps, and there's some really interesting things that you can do with running promotions and things like that through your pages, using Google AdWords Express if you've got a little bit of a budget to try something like that. But in particular, that Google Local Places listing is extremely important. In particular, like if you're on, how many searches do we do on our smartphone these days? If you're looking for something, that's how people find you. That's when you're looking for a pizza place and you're out and about and you're asking Google where to find one, that's what they're looking at. It's those Google Local listing, which is the Google Places that are Google Pages that has now been integrated into Google Plus. That's where all that information is coming from. So yeah, if you're like I said, if you have a local storefront, you absolutely need to have that, and so obviously you need to be on Google Plus.
Cool.
I think that's a wonderful answer. Okay, we're down to our last minutes. Sean, what would you like for people to remember about what we learned today, or what we talked about? Maybe not learned, but something that might be important.
Yeah, I think a lot of the guys in the stream have actually said it for me. And that is, let's make sure we get a balance of good quality content and recognize that SEO is very important, and SEO in and of itself, if there's nothing to get to and the business is of poor quality and the content is poor quality, well, people are going to see through that And equally, if you've got great content but you're not doing your best to put it out there and convert it, then that's a bit of a waste of you as a producer of good content. So you've got to marry the both. And I think what Ryan shared with us is some really good ways of doing that. I particularly love the solid example you gave for Emily. I thought that was brilliant, Ryan. So thanks for that. And William made some great points about, let's forget the cheapo lead generation things and let's get some really high value, lead gen items out there. And I was as succinct as I normally am. I think that took me about 5 minutes to deliver that one, Sandra. So my apologies for that one. But that's me done.
All right, Ryan. Let's ask, how can people get in touch with you if they want to? What's the best way to find you?
Obviously you can find me on pretty much any social media channel. If you Google my name, I'm all over the place. But you can, I'll go ahead and give, if you want to, you can email me. The best way to actually get a hold of me is info@iobsystems.com, which actually goes directly to me. That's
spell that out, the IOB.
It's IOBISYSTEMS.com.
Okay. And then also after the show, would you please go in and put that in the stream in case anybody wants it to get there also? They can find it in the comment section.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I'll put my links to my other social media channels so that, and I would love to connect with everybody on here or anybody who's watching this too. So I'm always happy to answer questions.
Right, and that's a good point. And Sean, I'll let you finish up here just a second, but I do want to bring up a really good point. Please follow us if you haven't already. Follow us on YouTube, other social media networks, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever. You can go to our About page and find those links for sure. And we'll follow you back if you have your profile filled out.
And if they don't, Sandra, what are we going to do then?
Oh my gosh, it's really hard. I have this thing with blue heads. I just have a real hard time because I don't know if you're real or what's going on, and if you haven't posted much, then more than likely I'm not going to follow you.
Okay, that's very clear. You didn't mince words. That's good.
No, I tend to be pretty discriminating in the type of people that I follow. I shouldn't say type, but in who. I want to know that you're here and you're real, that you really want to engage, and that this isn't a joke for you, because for me it's not a joke. I enjoy it and I love it, and what I do, I want it to be real. So that's why I say that. So I always read the About page before I follow anybody, whether it's here or it's on LinkedIn or Twitter.
Good point.
Okay, Sean, last words for you, sir.
I kind of think I've said them already. I mean, I must say, if you'd have asked me 2 months ago about SEO, through my naivety, Ryan, and ignorance, really, and possibly hearing some really bad stories of businesses that paid a small fortune and not necessarily gotten the results that they deserve through poor practice, if you like, I would have said, well, is there a need for it? But you know what? Listening to what you've said, and thinking about the complexities and the added value, and all the expertise someone like yourself can bring, I'm absolutely convinced. I think SEO balanced with good content and good quality and good products, and as Tanya said, relationship marketing, I think it's a great combination. So I'm convinced you've totally won me over. So thanks for that.
Yeah, you're totally right. And all these things today work together, and they need to work together, which is actually a beautiful thing, because when you look at it from an entire spectrum, you're really just building an online brand.
Yes, perfect.
Well,
that's a great way to finish.
This has been fun today, Ryan. We're really grateful that you took this much time out of your day, because I know you're extremely busy. And as I said in our description of the show today, this is not to say that we have the only answers, the only way, the best way. This is to give you information to make your decision on how you want to run your online presence concerning SEO and content marketing. So with that, we're going to say thank you for coming. We'll look forward to seeing you next time. Continue to put comments in the stream if you have any, and please engage with us regularly. Thanks for the time, and we'll see you next time.
Look forward to it. Thanks, guys. Bye now.